Updating business, economic data from India, Hong Kong and Taiwan charts an uneven course for a post-pandemic recovery. Steve Cochrane, Chief APAC Economist from Moody's, joins us now to take us through the data. Well, Steve, let's talk about Hong Kong first. It's contracted for 2 years in a row now. When do you see the economy recovering?
Well, right now, as you know, it's pretty slow. We had data come out today for the fourth quarter, and fourth quarter was barely above the third quarter. You know, the thing about Hong Kong is it's so tied to transportation, to tourism, to hospitality, and with none of that recovering yet, the Hong Kong economy is really trudging along right now. I do think the second half of the year will be better for Hong Kong for a couple of reasons. One is that Hong Kong has procured enough vaccine doses to inoculate most of its population. So it has to get through that process and probably should be there sometime in the second half of the year. And then at that point, as other countries are also getting their vaccines going, there will be a pickup in trade and transportation, and there will be a lot of pent-up demand for visits to Hong Kong, and that will help to boost the economy. But it's going to be the second half, and it really does depend on getting that vaccine across Hong Kong and across other countries as well. It illustrates the weakness of any economy that is highly dependent on transportation and tourism right now. And that's the weakest part of the global economy at the moment.
Yeah, I want to move over to Taiwan now. The island ended the year strongly, but its economy mainly gained from tensions between the U.S. and China because of chips. So how will a new administration in the U.S. impact the outlook?
Well, I would say, first of all, that the strength of the Taiwan economy and the fourth quarter data that came out today beat expectations. It was a pretty good, and Taiwan Bank bounced back very quickly from its pandemic recession. I mean, a lot of that growth is based simply on the global demand for technology-based products due to the pandemic, that households and companies around the world are buying computers and mobile phones and technology-related products, and Taiwan is in the supply chain for so much of that, and so they benefited, and it's in sort of almost the exact opposite of Hong Kong, whereas Hong Kong is largely a service-based economy, and Taiwan is very much linked to the global supply chain, both with China in terms of intermediate products and in terms of the rest of the world for final products. So I think if demand still remains strong over the coming year for those same kinds of products, and they may, given that Europe and the US are still hunkered down and relying on working from home, working remotely, having schools work education remote as well, demand for those kinds of goods that Taiwan produces should stay fairly strong. The impact of the Biden administration, I actually think in the near term, there's not much of a change. I think the Biden administration is going to take it very slow in terms of shifting policy. I think they're initially will begin working and collaborating with the traditional allies of the United States to shore up those relationships and perhaps bring down tariffs that have been put on products from Europe and Canada and Mexico and the like. In the meantime, slowly beginning to cultivate relationships around Europe, not only with China, but with the ASEAN nations and such as well.
Steve, one more quick one before we go. It's also about something that you mentioned about vaccine rollout. So with more countries rolling out vaccination drives, how soon do you think the global economy can recover?
Oh, I think the second half looks good. The first half is definitely still going to be a slow go because different countries will be rolling out vaccines at different paces. There's still some uncertainty about supplies of vaccines and such, but it is accelerating. The process of getting the vaccine out is accelerating across developed economies anyway. We think of Europe and North America and Australia, and then Singapore and Hong Kong and Japan and so forth, they're doing a very good job right now of getting those vaccines beginning to be rolled out. So I think the first half looks slow. I think we look at the second half and we'll see a very rapid turnaround in the second half of the year in terms of pent-up demand for services around the world and perhaps some improved investment spending as business confidence begins to pick up again.
All right, thanks very much for that. Steve Cochrane, he's a chief APAC economist at Moody's Analytics.